A man in Oregon was praying for death. Doctors kept sending him home, and this is what was living in his lungs. AM is a 60-year-old retired sawmill worker presenting with fever and chills. I'm Dr. Rachel Rayan, and this is Medical Detective. Andy McDonald spent his life working hard in the forests of rural Oregon. Retired, healthy enough, living quietly in Clatskanie, a small town 60 miles from Portland. In July 2022, he and his wife were driving to the Cowlitz County Fair. He turned to her and said, "I don't feel well." The fevers started that night, high fevers, coming and going, and he went to a local clinic. The doctor took one look and said, "Go to OHSU in Portland immediately." At the hospital, he waited 12 hours in the emergency room, fever climbing, chills worsening. They finally admitted him, diagnosed him with sepsis, gave him powerful antibiotics. 5 days later, they sent him home, and he was not better. But here is the part that will shock you. This was not the last time they sent him home. Too early. At home, he got worse. Persistent diarrhea, vomiting. He was losing weight fast, pound by pound, every single day. Over the next weeks, Andy McDonald lost 40 pounds. He went back to the hospital and they readmitted him, more tests, more antibiotics, and then they sent him home again. A critically ill man sent home twice. And here's what nobody knew. The antibiotics they gave him both times were completely wrong for what he actually had. Andy was now at his lowest point. He could not eat. He could not think clearly. The brain fog was total. He was a shell of the man who drove to the county fair. And he said something to his wife that no one should ever have to say. He told her, "There were times I was praying for death." Sepsis, wrong, is standard bacterial pneumonia. Wrong, the antibiotics kept failing. 2 hospitalizations, dozens of tests. Nobody had the right answer until his case was finally reviewed by an infectious disease specialist. The specialist asked one question that nobody had asked before. What animals had Andy been around recently? And the answer changed everything because it pointed to something nobody in that hospital had tested for. A bacteria so rare, so dangerous that the U.S. government classifies it as a potential bioterrorism agent. The specialist ordered a specific test for Francisella tularensis, the bacteria that causes tularemia, and also called rabbit fever, and the results came back positive. Andy McDonald had pulmonary tularemia, an infection so rare, only 100 to 200 Americans get it per year. And in Oregon, only 2 cases the entire year Andy was infected. Now, how did a retired sawmill worker in rural Oregon get a bioterrorism classified bacteria in his lungs? The answer is something that could happen to anyone who lives near forests, near fields, near rabbits. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn is going to make you look at your own backyard differently. Tularemia is caused by Francisella tularensis, one of the most infectious bacteria known to science. It takes as few as 10 bacteria to cause infection in a human, 10, and for comparison, salmonella requires thousands. This is why it is classified as a potential bioterrorism agent. A tiny amount, aerosolized, could infect an entire area. How do people get infected? Breathing in dust contaminated by infected animals, especially rabbits and rodents. Handling infected animal carcasses, being bitten by infected ticks or deer flies, or drinking contaminated water. Andy most likely breathed in contaminated particles near his rural property. He never even touched a sick animal. He just breathed Oregon air. Here's the most important thing about tularemia that every American needs to know. If treated with the right antibiotic, survival rate is near 100%. But without treatment, 30% of people die, and in immunocompromised patients like Andy, 60% mortality. Andy survived, but only because one specialist finally ordered the right test. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you could save your life. Andy was finally given the correct antibiotic, doxycycline. He recovered. He shared his story specifically so other Americans would recognize this infection faster. Because the average doctor in the U.S. has never seen a single case of tularemia in their career. That is why it gets missed every single time. Here's what you need to know right now. Number 1, if you live in a rural area and develop sudden high fever, chills, and fatigue, and standard antibiotics are not working, ask your doctor specifically, have you ruled out tularemia? Number 2, if you handle wild rabbits, rodents, or their carcasses, wear gloves always. Number 3, the correct antibiotic is doxycycline or streptomycin. If you have been on antibiotics for days with no improvement, push for more testing. Drop a comment right now. Did you know tularemia existed before this video? Yes or no? Because I guarantee most people have never heard of it, and that is exactly why Andy almost died. I read every single comment. Subscribe to Dr. Rachel Rayan. New case every single day. Real documented American, and always something that could save your life. New case tomorrow.